No, that also she's having network problem. That's the problem. Thank you, Sahani sir and Nehakar. Good evening, good afternoon, and good morning. This is the 1821st day of continuous webinar conducted by International Forum for Promoting Homeopathy. Today, our guest is Dr. PAVITRA GAUR. Let us begin the session with 1 minute silent prayer. Thank you all. The International Forum for Promoting Homeopathy comprises of homeopathic lovers, students, and doctors, and we have 3 sessions every day. The first session of the day is already hour in Hindi from 7:30 to 8:30. From 8:30 to 9:30, we have the international session in English, and from 9:30 to 10:30, local language session in Malayalam. We are uploading the videos of the same on the very next day itself so that those who missed the session can watch it again. You can subscribe the same without paying any money. You can share it with your friends. The purpose of this forum is to take homeopathy to every home around the world. And we are very happy to invite all of you to participate in this celebration of 5th year anniversary of IFPH being conducted at Taj Vivanta at Cochin on September 28th. Hope all of you will register, and the registration fees and further details are there in the group. So kindly register for the same. There will be different sessions, there will be discussion, there will be short presentations, and there will be cultural program at the end, and particularly homeopathy and agro-homeopathy, dental homeopathy, veterinary homeopathy. These are the subjects also celebration being presented there in part with the celebration. And let me come to today's guest, Dr. PAVITRA GAUR is from Jaipur, and she has completed BHMS and she's the gold medalist. And thereafter, she took MD and now working as an assistant professor, Department of Surgery, Swastik Kalyan Homeopathic Medical College and Research Center, Jaipur. And she has published many articles in various journals, and she's very much interested in research as well as homeopathic propagation. And that's where she has done a presentation in this forum earlier, and she has also presented some papers in Hindi sessions also. Today, Doctor will be talking about understanding LAC groups through segments and cycles. Let us see what are the things that Doctor has to say about this group. Yes, welcome, Dr. PAVITRA.
Thank you so much, sir, for the introduction, and thank you again for inviting me for presenting me in IFPH. So can I start now?
Yes, you can start now.
Okay, so begin with?
Yes, everything fine. Everything fine. You can go ahead.
Okay, sir. Okay. So to begin with, my today's presentation topic is LAC group, and that is basically based upon segments and cycles. So to begin with, what is segment and what is cycle approach? So segments represent different aspects of central theme. Cycle represent progression through those aspects. For example, like beginning of life, this is mainly related to LAC group. In the beginning of life, there is dependence on milk. Then comes the conflict, which is fear of rejection, not being accepted. Then comes the resolution phase, which is developing one's own identity. As we all know that LACs are prepared from milk of different animals, cows, goats, dogs, human, etc. Milk itself is a biological product containing proteins, hormones, and cellular elements. So, supports are basically homeopathic medicines which are made out of healthy animal products. In the Greek term, supports means fleshy. Supports imply protoplasm of animals as distinguished from vegetable protoplasm. In homeopathy, some of the supports approved medicines, they are obtained from healthy endocrine or ductless glands or normal secretion of living organs and living lower animals. The secretions are mostly hormones. For example, adrenaline, cholesterol, pituitary, insulin, pancreatinum, pepsinum, pituitary, thyroidinum, and bulbous cell, etc. Hormones are specific substances produced by endocrine glands of higher animals which are secreted into the blood and thus carried to all parts of the body where they regulate many metabolic function of the organism. Their quick acting and not only minute amount may have profound effect on metabolism. Hormones are either proteins, example insulin, steroids, example cortisone, or relatively simple organic compounds, example adrenaline. So basically, when we see a patient, there is a mental and emotional state which often reflects a stage in the cycle. For example, a patient with deep dependence, craving for mother. This is an example which we can see in LAC humanity. A patient with identity confusion, feeling displaced, we can see in LAC caninum. So these are the basically themes: dependence and independence. So for the dependence, as we all know that milk is the very first nourishment in life, and the newborn is completely dependent on mother for survival. And the mother's milk is not just food, but also a sign of love, acceptance, and security. So this dependence is not just physical, food or warmth, but also emotional. For example, like security, love, bonding. When this need is not met properly, example, insufficient milk, lack of bonding, rejection by mother, the child develops a deep sense of insecurity. So in the dependent phase, the patient might develop a deep sense of insecurity because the patient is not being fed well. Later in life, such individual may show clinging behavior, over-dependence on relationship, jealousy if they feel others are getting more attention, a fear of losing support. So if the bonding by which any means is interrupted by sparse milk, rejection of mother, lack of holding or warmth, the baby develops a sense of, am I not wanted? Am I not enough? So these are the emotional states which a patient faces in the dependence stage in the LAC group. Then comes the independence phase. So as the child grows, there is a natural push towards independence, separating from mother, standing on one's own. If transition from dependence and independence is blocked or disturbed, problems usually arise from over there. Some LAC patients may rebel strongly, becoming independent to the point of isolation, resistance to intimacy, or closeness. Emotionally detached, avoiding trust in others. They may say, I don't need anyone. Yet deep inside, they long for nurturing. So, this is the stage in which these emotions are felt is independence phase in LAC group. As the child grows and tries to become independent, separating from mother, forming a self-identity, the memory of this early rejection resurfaces. So when the patient faces early rejection in their childhood, that memory resurfaces in the independence phase. And they want independence, but deep inside they fear. And what is that kind of fear? That if I stand alone, I may be again be rejected. So this is the fear which a patient faces in independence group. If I show my individuality, others may not love me. So these are the insecurities that the patient faces in independence group. And these are the majorly two segments or the parts or the theme on which the LAC group is based. Moving forward, the other themes or the segments on which LAC group is based is forgetfulness, forsakenness, jealousy, and lack of trust. Now, forgetfulness. So, bringing more into light about forgetfulness, there can be mental dullness, absent-mindedness, difficulty in concentration. This usually comes from lack of security in early nurturing, leaving the mind unfocused. So, when there is lack of security, in the early nurturing phase, that is in the dependence phase only, when there is lack of nurturing, the mind may be left unfocused. Then comes the forsakenness. Now, in forsakenness, there is a deep feeling of being abandoned, unloved, or rejected, rooted in early experiences where nourishments like milk or mother's womb was inadequate. So, forgetfulness, forsakenness basically comes within the realm that if there is some kind of insecurity in the initial stages of a life or when the baby is born or when the patient or the baby is not being given that kind of adequate attention. So there's a feeling of forsakenness which a patient might left with in the later stages of life. Then comes the lack of trust, which basically links with difficulty in trusting self, others, or life itself. Because the first source of trust, that is mother's milk and bonding, was disrupted. So when the patient initially has felt that kind of disruption from mother or with the closest one during the initial stage of his or her life, there might come an emotion which is lack of trust. Then comes the jealousy. Jealousy, which includes fear that others are receiving the love, care, or nourishment they were denied. This jealousy often appears in relationships, siblings, or peers. When the patient is deprived of certain kind of emotional stability in the beginning of the life, they might find that same emotional stability in the other person also, or from the other zone also, where the person is receiving love, care, or nourishment, and that same love, care, or nourishment they were devoid of from in their initial stage. So this results in jealousy, which often we can see in relationships, siblings, or peers. Then feeling of lack or emptiness. These are the another segments. Feeling of lack or emptiness, poverty, consciousness, isolation, estrangement. Now, to begin for feeling of lack or emptiness, feeling of lack of emptiness, that a sense that something essential is always missing, symbolizes the absence of proper nourishment in infancy. So, when the patient has faced some of the rejections in infancy, there might be a feeling of lack or emptiness, that something is missing from life, that nourishment is missing from life. So, that kind of feeling a patient might develop in stage of his or her life. Then comes the poverty consciousness, not just material but emotional poverty. There might not just be emotional but also material poverty, which a person can go through. Emotional poverty involves not feeling rich in love. For example, when a patient is devoid of love, nourishment, care, and anything which is related to his or her mother, care or trust. So these are emotional poverty things which patient might feel. Then they may always feel deprived, no matter how much they have. Since from the beginning, they might have felt something so seriously that in the later stage of life, even if they are provided with that same care and nourishment, they still think that they are lacking with something, or they are poverty stricken with that kind of emotion, because something has already been felt so much initially in initial stages of their life, that impact they carry all of their life. So there is feeling of lack, emptiness, poverty, and then comes consciousness, heightened self-consciousness, awareness of rejection or sensitivity to criticism. Now the patient might be very much sensitive to criticism. Like if a patient is feeling something too much, even if though the thing might not be that much to be criticized, but he might feel that much. So the patient has been sensitized that much in his or her life, that for the later stages of life, even if a slight change or slight criticizing point is being taken up regarding his or her life, he might feel that point too much. So the patient is sensitive to criticism. They constantly monitor themselves and others to avoid feeling unwanted. So the patient might avoid people, meeting people, even sitting with people, having a talk with people, having a conversation with people, just to avoid that criticism or to avoid that feeling of unwantedness. Then comes isolation. So withdrawal from others due to fear of rejection or betrayal. Now, isolation comes from when there is a withdrawal from others due to fear of rejection or betrayals, as we saw in consciousness stage. So there is basically fear of rejection or betrayal, that someone might betray me the same way that I have felt initially during my growing years of life. So this is the reason the patient might choose isolation over a company, solitude over a company. So protective mechanism. So what a patient might feel in his or her inside is, it's better to stay alone than that risk being hurt. So it's better to stay alone or to isolate myself than to just get hurt because of someone who is not even that much important or giving me their care or that kind of attention or is criticizing me. So patient might develop that emotion. Then comes the estrangement. So a step deeper than isolation. So estrangement is basically a step deeper than isolation. That is feeling cut off, alien or different from the world. That someone is cut off completely, entirely from the world or from different from the world, living on his own and has no sense of like a sense of being in a community. They may feel that they don't belong anywhere, repeating the original separation from the mother. So exactly they have cut off from everywhere and they may feel that they do not belong anywhere. The exactly same emotion that they have felt in their life initial stage, that the repeating the same original separation from the mother. So these are the basic themes or the segments from which the LAC group is made up of: feeling of lack, emptiness, poverty, consciousness, isolation, estrangement, forgetfulness, forsakenness, jealousy, lack of trust, and the two main things, that is dependence and independence. Moving forward, the patient might develop some kind of fear, that is fear of narrow or confined spaces. Because of lack of nurturing and security, LAC patient feel trapped in life. So because of lack of nurturing or that kind of security, the patient might feel that they are trapped in life, that they are not being able to move forward or they are not being able to feel some other emotion because they are so much involved in that thing that they feel that they are trapped. And what they develop? They develop fears of small, closed spaces, reflecting the feeling of being restricted or suffocated emotionally. So this is another emotion that a LAC patient might feel in his or her, that there may be a feeling of being restricted or suffocated emotionally because they are so much emotionally driven and they are not being able to speak up for whatever they are feeling inside. So they are suffocated emotionally. Then comes feeling of being let down, feeling of a fear of falling. So the another emotion which develops in LAC patient is feeling of being let down. What this symbolizes the early experiences of not being held or supported properly by the mother. So when the mother has not been paid that kind of attention or is not given that kind of security to his or her baby, then the baby might develop that uh, that he is not being held or supported properly or firmly. So there is a feeling that he is being let down, or there is a fear of falling that a patient might develop. Then there is a feeling of imprisonment, another feeling of imprisonment, in which they feel imprisoned inside their own body or within relationships. This is linked to the theme of lack of freedom due to early dependency. Since there are two main segments which we have studied right now, is dependence and independence. So the patient is that much dependent on her mother or her father that she feels that there is imprisonment, or she's imprisoned inside her own body or within relationship, that there is lack of freedom due to early dependency, that the patient does not have that kind of freedom, and because of which she is unable to speak up for his or her feeling. Then comes suicidal tendency. When the lack of love and nourishment is too overwhelming, it may turn into despair. A desire to escape from life develops, sometimes leading to suicidal thoughts. So a patient might develop suicidal thoughts, suicidal tendency, because of the lack of love and nourishment when it's too overwhelming. And it might eventually develops into a despair emotion. So patient might feel that it's like the patient might feel to escape from the life, and sometimes it might lead to even suicide or suicidal tendency which might develop into the patient. So these are some of the core fears which a LAC patient might feel. Moving on. Now this is the basic explanation When what has emerged from the provings and a small but increasing body of clinical experiences are themes of milk remedies centering around dependence and independence, nurturing and lack of nurturing, a feeling of having suffered wrong, and suppression of natural instinct in order to be able to harmonize the group to which one needs to belong. Each milk medicine will express these themes in their own way. The primary function of the mammal's milk is to nurture the vulnerable, dependent baby. It's not only a food but also encompasses the child's need to grow, thrive, and be strong. When the things go wrong here for the mother and the baby, it can lead to issues with food that can manifest throughout the life of the child and onto the adult life. There is also a theme of bonding between the mother and the baby, and the part that holding the baby plays in this theme is also significant. It produces wholeness and integration into the world. The remedy pictures represents all the things that can go wrong in the lactation period. So whatever themes or whatever segments we have studied might come because whatsoever has goes wrong had gone wrong because of in the lactation period. So a patient might suffer from fears, anxiety, deprivation, lack of security, abandonment, imprisonment, enforcement. So these are all the emotions which a patient might suffer or might get through because of anything, because of even the lack of attention which is being given by her mother or her father. She might have felt that, and she is not being able to speak up. So because she's completely entirely dependent on them. And when it comes to a period of independence, she is that much dependent that now she feels imprisoned in her own body, and she's not being able to escape from that situation or that emotion. So that is quite distressing. When the milk is sparse or bad, the baby can fail to thrive, resulting in arrested growth. So when the milk is bad or sparse and it has not been nutritious, this might result in arrested growth or the stunt growth. Lac patient can have craving, aversion, amelioration, and aggravation from milk. It is also the first food that a baby has, and so it can be the first food that causes nausea, contributing the theme of loathing of self and life. When the baby doesn't get enough milk, it can lead to a feeling of lack, poverty, consciousness, and jealousy. Since it's the first food that the baby has, and so it can be the first food which might impact the baby. So it might result in a long lasting effect. If the milk is bad or sparse, it may result in nausea, contributing to the theme of loathing of self and life. And when the baby doesn't get enough milk, it might lead to a feeling of lack, poverty, consciousness, and jealousy. When the bonding between the mother and the baby is not fulfilling for the baby, this can result in feeling of separateness, forsakeness, isolation, as estrangement, as we have already studied in previous slides. All relationships may suffer into later life, leading to the inability to bear touch and intimacy, because the patient had already been isolated himself or herself to that extent that there is inability to bear any kind of touch or any kind of intimacy, and they have a fear for that. This can give rise to fear of narrow or confined spaces. When the holding, representing the support and the caring of the baby is unsuccessful, in some way it can induce feeling of being let down or falling into pieces or fear of falling. So ultimately, anything which had gone wrong during the initial stage might result or might reflect in the other or the future future life of the patient. Another common theme is lack of trust stemming from possible lack of bonding or warmth from the mother. So if a mother has not shown any kind of warmth or bonding towards the baby, there might be a lack of trust in life the patient might carry, and in the patient herself, and this comes from the lack of feeling of security occurring during the bonding in lactation. Mother's milk allows growth and grounding. So basically, mother's milk usually allows growth and grounding. So there can be a sense of disconnection and lack of grounding and themes of needing to escape the body because they feel imprisoned in it. Many lac patients are chilly. They are chilly, lack of vital heat, support and security. Because they lack support, they lack security, lack of vital need. So LAC patients are usually chilly. Also, they can have fear of sharp objects or a sharp and critical tongue. The reaction to this stunned nurturing include suicidal tendencies, eating disorders like undereating, overeating, cleaning, washing, compulsions, themes of indifference or lack of feeling, forgetting, mistakes, writing, dyslexia, speaking, sexuality increase or decrease. So these are all the themes or the segments which we can think of if a patient might have suffered something in his or her childhood, and especially the bonding or the lack of bonding which he or she has suffered from his mother. Then giving introduction to the remedies which comes under LAC group, milk remedies like lactininum, dog's milk, lactoferrinum, goat's milk, lacdelphinum, dolphin's milk, lac equinum, horse milk, lacfelinum, cat's milk, lac humanum, human breast milk, lac vaccinum, cow's milk, milk products like lac vaccinum coagulatum, which is prepared from curd, lac vaccinum defloratum, which is from skimmed milk, and lac vaccinum floss, which is from cream of milk. So coming upon to lactinine. Now, there are some of the physical symptoms which can be seen in lactinine, like these are warm patients, alternating sights, ravenous appetite, desire pungent things, for example, pepper and salt, amelioration from cold applications. There is aggravation before and during menses. Parts usually glisten and shiny. Vertigo with sensation of floating in air. Genitals organ easily excited from touch. Painful swollen breast before menses. So for lactininum, Clark has written that this remedy represents a state in which the organism does not have the resources to absorb and contain stress and teeters on the brink of collapse, like easy giving out. Anything which has happened, the patient might give up. He will not work upon it. So this remedy basically suggests those kind of people which are easy to give up on anything or any problem. They will not face it. They are easy to give up. The anger and rage in the remedy is directed at the self. Now there is self anger and rage. They can be introverted, exhibit excessive daydreaming, and can seem as if in a daze. So patient might seem to be in a daydreaming state. Okay, they exhibit excessive daydreaming state, and they can be introverted. The remedy can manifest in one or two of ways. In active type, there is great sensitivity. In passive type, there is hysteria. So, in two stages, the patient might be great sensitive. In active phase, the patient might be great sensitive to any impressions of their life that they are coming across. There might be any kind of emotion which they come across, like lack of security, criticism, fear, any kind. And in passive type, there is hysteria. The patient can be hysterical, thinking about a lot of things in a hysterical mood. Then comes the lac defloratum. So the physical symptoms for which the lac def is basically indicated is strong desire or intolerance of milk. So there is either a strong desire or intolerance of milk. Affection of the breast, including poor lactation. So there might be affections of the breast which might lead to poor lactation. Pain in breast before menses. Obesity, disturbed nutrition, anemia, sleeplessness, headache, throbbing in the temples when rest of the head feels light. So there might be throbbing in the temples when rest of the feet, especially in the temples, and the rest of the head, like parts of the head, might feel light. There might be aggravation from milk, loss of sleep, cold during pregnancy, amelioration from pressure of bandage, conversation, rest, and there might be intense thirst. Now comes lac felinum. So for lac felinum, the physical symptoms with which the patient might present with is headache over eyes, temples, and front vertex with burning and pulsation. Affinity with the eyes, very twitching, darting pain and inflammation, sinus problems, brassy taste on the mouth and loss of taste, salivation with tongue enlargement, stomach swelling, and a desire to eat paper. So there is a specific desire which we can see in lac phelanum patient is desire to eat paper. Amenorrhea, dysmenorrhea, diarrhea. There is no appetite and there is heat in the epigastric region. Chest symptoms with oppression and difficult breathing. Alternating symptoms might include hot and cold and heat. Dullness with heavy and prolonged sleep, where they don't wake easily, like they have that kind of sound sleep uh, because of dullness and heaviness, and they have a prolonged sleep. There is intolerance of hunger. So, lac phelanum patient might present with intolerance of hunger. Then comes lac caprinum, controlled individuals, prudish. Now, these are usually controlled individuals, like they are in the dependent phase, isolated phase, and fright and fear of razor, sharp, deadly teeth, and a vulnerability at the side of the throat. These are the symptoms which a patient presents. Fear of being taken by a surprise, of being jumped at, noise and motion. So there can be a fear of if a patient is presented with any kind of surprise or being presented with any kind of noise or motion, and when the patient is unattended to it, it might result in fear or a sense of fright, fear of being pointed at, because the patient lacks that kind of confidence to speak up. So there is fear of being pointed at, because they think that whether they will be able to answer the question that is being put up in front of them, whether they will be able to explain whatever they are thinking or anything like that. So there's a fear of being pointed at. Fear is internalized and not expressed. Now, this fear is being internalized and not expressed. There is not any kind of emotion that is being expressed, especially related to fear. Fear of falling, losing social place or position. Childlike helplessness. Now, a patient might present with childlike helplessness, timidity, and innocence. Can become indifferent as a strategy to avoid or internalize the fear. So that is about lac caprinum. Then lac delphinum. Lac delphinum patients are usually calm during cages, play and pleasureful like a dolphin. Separation, detached. Detached separation they might carry. They have a clairvoyance emotion that they might perceive the things before they are actually happening. So they have a clairvoyant nature, attraction to water. They like water. Groups and community. Close bonds where being separated from them causes discomfort. So they are usually playful, jolly, pleasure. So they usually desire company. So when they are being detached from that company, they might feel a sense of discomfort because of that. Then there is feeling of lack of privacy, because they are that much sociable, playful, and pleasure that they feel that after giving every emotion to the world, they feel that they have a lack of privacy because they are not being able to keep up the emotion which they are feeling. They usually speak up or shows through actions. Guilt with responsibility. Okay. Then there is guilt with responsibility. They take up the responsibility, then they still feel the guilt that they shouldn't have taken it because they are not being able to carry that responsibility for far. Then maternal instinct and the need to nurture and give shelter. Now, the lac delphinum patient might have that kind of maternal instinct and the need to nurture and give shelter. So these are the physical symptoms, or these are the mental symptoms basically in lac delphinum, with which a patient might present. Then comes lac leoninem, that is anger and rage. There is extreme anger and rage for lac leoninem patient, concern about people, desire to help them, especially children, theft, easy, like they have that kind of kleptomania of stealing things. So they are usually concerned about people and desire to help them, especially children. Now they have a desire to help, especially children. Problem with authority figures. Now they are anarchist type of people. Okay? Anarchist type of people like standing against the rules and regulations which are not appropriate. women at odds with their husband. Now, women's usually at odds with their husband, men relating to other men, cats and cats like. Like cats are usually suspicious type. So, lack leonine personality is usually in anger, rage, suspicious, and anarchist style, odd style. So, this is about lack leonine. Then comes the lac maternum. Now, lac maternum is made from the milk of 9 women and is collected from 3 days to 10 months after parturition. The basic introduction, what a lac maternum is made of, from which a lac maternum is made of. So, in addition to all the known benefits of human milk, it's also clear that the act of breastfeeding is beneficial. Researchers show that breastfeeding leads to optimal brain development. Breastfeeding's contribution to optimum oral development means less risk of malocclusion and perhaps lower orthodontist bills. Bottle-fed babies have a high risk of baby bottle tooth decay as well. The skin-to-skin contact with mother provides optimal nurturing and almost automatic close emotional attachment. Suckling at the breast optimizes hand-to-eye coordination, especially with regular side twitching. Even in the rare cases when the mother can't produce enough milk or for adopted babies, supplemental system can allow mother and baby to enjoy a breastfeeding relationship. So these are basic. Lac maternum is basically prepared from colostrum and to 10 months after parturition. Milk, which is usually 3 days to 10 months after parturition, and this usually can be taken for basically for tooth decay. And when there is lack of that suckling, when the baby is not being able to suckle easily the breast milk, so at that moment lac maternum might work. And when the mother is not being able to produce that enough milk, at that time also lac maternum can be prescribed for the optimal results. Now, lac maternum, theme of the remedy on which the lac maternum is based is anxiety about life. There is extreme anxiety about life, and there's homesickness from astral world. So there's basically a specific type of homesickness for astral worlds, like for spiritual world, that a patient has a homesickness for. Refusal of the child by its parent at the beginning of the pregnancy. Okay, so when the parents are parents have conceived, but they don't want that baby. So refusal, basically a feeling of refusal that has occurred at that time in the womb only. So refusal of the child by the parents at the beginning of the pregnancy. So that kind of emotion which has developed in the baby, so that might develop, and this comes under lac maternum. Anxiety for the responsibilities of a new life. So there's always an anxiety to start something new, because there is homesickness and there is refusal also. The patient doesn't have that kind of confidence of gaining something or to face something in new life, because there's always that emotion of refusal that even if I start something new, I won't be accepted that easily. So because of that, the patient has anxieties for responsibility of a new life. Then lack of center / energy, easily disturbed by the energy of other person and of the surroundings. So the patient might be easily disturbed because of the person's in surrounding. So they might like or enjoy their own company. Then lack of clarity of mind. There is lack of clarity of mind. Thinking is muddled and defenses against the outer world are lowered because of that refusal emotion that a patient has developed. Want of self-esteem, because the patient want to develop that kind of self-esteem that he should stand or he should take up new opportunities. And the patient is not being able to take up new responsibilities or the responsibilities of a new life because there is a lack of self-esteem that a patient has developed in her body or the mind. Then there is sadness, lack of joy, sensation of floating about the body, because the patient doesn't have stability in his or her life. So there is a sensation of floating out of the body. Daydreaming, the patient might daydream. Lack of awareness of one's own surrounding. Now there is a lack of awareness that whatsoever is going on, because the patient is in daydreaming phase. There is unfeeling or indifferent. So there is unfeeling also, and there is indifferent or apathetic emotion also, which a patient might feel. Physical symptoms for which the lac maternum can be thought of is there might be headache, migraine, dizziness, vertigo, and empty feeling, flushes, loss of hair, coldness of extremities, weak libido, lack of feeling, because we have already read in the last point that there is unfeeling or the indifferent feeling that a patient has developed. So there is lack of feeling, awkwardness because of the refusal, and the lack of confidence to gain some responsibilities for the future. General chilliness, since all LAC patients are chilly because of lack of vital heat or the security or the care of the nourishment. So there is general chilliness which a patient might feel. There might be eczema, psoriasis, and molluscum. Now, lac vaccinum defloratum. Now, this is prepared from cow's skimmed milk. And this is usually thought of in persons with a chronic milk allergy. Usually, patient with chronic milk allergy might need this remedy. This remedy is very chilly and bloodless, and cannot get warm even with warm clothing or warm room. So they are extremely chilly patients. See, again here the feeling cannot get warm. Previously, I had described the numb sensation because no warmth and affection was coming in lac humanum. In cow's milk also, person is very chill. She is so sensitive to cold that she feels as if air is blowing on her in the room, as if she was fanned, even when there's no possible draft, room is warm. There is that much kind of chilliness that a patient feels, that she feels that that air is blowing on her in the room and that she is being fanned by someone. She looks and she acts as though she has been suffering long and as if she is going to decline. The patient might feel that she has suffered for so long, and for after suffering for that much long, she might decline. She imagines that all her friends will die and that she must go to a convent. A horror when in a small closet because afraid the door will close and she will suffocate. Now the patient might develop a fear of suffocation, and she might think that every one of her friends or everyone is going to die. And because of that horror, especially in a small closet, especially when a patient is in close environment, the patient might feel suffocated. A convent is a place where females of a certain religious order live in a community in accordance to a certain vows. So the person may feel guilty for whatever wrong she has done in life, and then she want to confess it. So basically, because of the feeling of a feeling of to decline, the patient may feel guilty for whatever she has done in her life, and then she wants to confess it. So patient basically confesses of her sin, of whatever she has done to avoid that decline in her life. So she desired to visit a convent in order to confess. This feeling you will find in repertory, especially under fear of narrow places, claustrophobia, and fear that the door will be closed. So under the repertory, this you will find under fear of narrow places, claustrophobia, and fear that the door will be closed. Okay. Now correlating lacs with miasms. So as we know that medicines are correlated with miasm. So exactly the same way, LAC group is also correlated with miasm for psora, psychosis, syphilis, tubercular, and cancer. So LAC maternum is basically predominate with psora, syphilis, cancer miasm. LAC humanum predominates psora, psychosis, syphilis, cancer miasm. LAC defloratum predominates psora and syphilis miasm. LAC delphinum predominates psychosis miasm. LAC caninum predominates psora, psychosis, syphilis miasm. LAC leonum predominates syphilis and tubercular miasm, and LAC filinum predominates psychosis miasm. Okay, so the rubrics basically, and this is from synthesis repertory, in which we can find LAC, like in mind forgetful rubric, LAC caninum is in second grade. Mind 4 second, LAC defloratum is in third grade. Mind company aversion to LAC defloratum in second grade. Mind company desire to LAC can is present in first grade. Mind indifference LAC can is present in third grade. Mind suicidal disposition LAC def is present in second grade. Mind concentration difficult LAC can is present in second grade. Mind confidence want of self LAC can is present in second grade. Mind delusions animals, seas, birds LAC can is present in third grade. Mind dullness, sluggishness, difficulty of thinking LAC can is present in third grade. Mind talk, indisposed to, desire to be silent, taciturn, LAC deaf is present in third grade. So these are the rubrics in which we find different LAC group remedies. Now, rubric with LAC group remedies in synthesis repertory. This is basically Kent repertory in which the rubrics are being found. Now, this is LAC group remedies in synthesis repertory. Mind, anger, LAC caprinum, LAC leonum, which is present in third grade. Mind, fights, want to, LAC leonum is present in third grade. Mind, irritability, in mind irritability, LAC can, LAC caprinum, LAC leonum is present in third grade. LAC delphinum, LAC eoninum is present in fourth grade. And mind quarrelsome, LAC caprinum in third grade, LAC leonum in third grade, and LAC lupinum in fourth grade. So these are the rubrics in mind section in synthesis repertory in which the LAC group remedies occupy, and these are grading also, just to make you all acquainted with the grading in which the LAC group remedies are present in different remedies. So basically for today's session, the main theme for which this session was presented is dependence and independence, nurturing and non-nurturing, and estrangement, isolation, and everything which a patient feels because of lack of nourishment towards her during the initial stage of her or his life. So this was all for today's session from my side. If anyone has any kind of question or would like to share something else regarding that, I'm open for it.
Yes, thank you, Dr. PAVITRA GAUR. It's really an excellent session indeed. And you really rocked the floor with your knowledge and your studies, and you have covered everything about all these LAC group medicines. And not only that, there you have find out the repertory symptoms of each and every medicine and why it is needed in conditions. Everything was described. That's what you can say that a fully prepared presentation, I must say.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much,
It is
sir.
the time for discussion, only few minutes remaining. I am inviting Dr. Rambaresh sir to begin the session. Please unmute. Please unmute.
थैंक यू डॉक्टर धनेश जी एंड एवरीवन। नमस्कार हमारे ओल्ड बुजुर्ग चिकित्सक डॉक्टर जीवन बनर्जी, नमस्कार एंड कॉन्ग्रेचुलेशन डॉक्टर पवित्रा, वेरी नाइस एक्सलेंट सेशन। फार्मेसी Sarco's remedy, very good describe the Sarco's remedy. Lot of medicine deals the Sarco's remedy mentally and physically, etc. There are two remedy, LAC caprinum, LAC caprinum बकरी के दूध, and LAC camelinum ऊंट के दूध। Two remedies in Sarco's So very thanks, Dr. Pavitra Gaur. Nice, excellent session. Thank you.
Now I invite Dr. V. Karnagar from Tamil Nadu. Say a few words on this presentation, sir.
Thank you, sir. Ganesh, sir. It's a very nice. So many remedies are covered under the SAR code. SAR code is the important source for getting homeopathic cures. So in LAC group, especially LAC group, so many LAC maternitum or LAC some other drugs, but we are frequently used LAC caninum, LAC defilratum, and LAC pelinum. These are the things, but LAC maternum, some other drugs also covered by Madam, very nicely explained. And also the pathophysiology means how the symptoms, this lack of trust, all other things are very nicely explained, madam, very easy to understand and perceive and remembering in mind. Whenever patient came to our clinics and explaining their symptomatology, it is very easy to grasp and matching. So very nice, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
What's your experience with those who suffer from a lack of milk as well as want to stop the milk also? There are patients who used to come out to our clinic. There are cases where the patient, mother having very less milk or even there is no milk at all. In those conditions, how will you choose these remedies, these medicines? Dr. Pavitra?
Yes, sir.
Which do you follow the question? Usually, mothers come with the child and say that, doctor, I have no milk at all, and I'm finding it very difficult that they have some problem because of that. So if you have a solution, how will you choose the medicine? And there are some at times mothers come with, oh, doctor, I want to stop the milk because milk is in those conditions. How will you, whether it lack diff or lack caninum?
So, probably because of that thought only, I thought of presenting this thing, because possibly there's something stemming or something, a thought that has been there, or some cause has been there. So if we know about lag group, we might explore that patient more with more of like questions. Like, was there some kind of problem during lactation which your baby has faced? Or during gestation, like we have studied today regarding the refusal stage only, that the parents might have conceived, but they don't want that baby at that time, but still they gave birth to a baby. So that kind of emotion of if a baby has left in her heart or somewhere, so like digging up that everything, because of that case, we can find out a certain remedy, and we might know that we should think about lag group or the lag group remedies. So yes, possibly everything is possible. Just a thorough case taking is required.
Yes, exactly.
And that art is required.
Yes, really. That's what the need of the hour. That the homeopathic doctor need to get into depth of the case and find out what is behind the illness and what is the problem that troubles the mother or the children, or what did she suffer, or whether what is the situation in her home, whether what was the condition at her birth, at the pregnancy time, what are the things she suffered during pregnancy or before pregnancy, and all those things may matters in these cases.
Yes.
And if people used to come over said, doctor, I don't take any, I don't like calcium, I don't like milk, I don't like egg, like that. In those conditions also, whenever there is deficiency of all those things, that also can lead to quality of lesser quality of milk also. In that conditions also, we can advise, we can choose some of the remedy medicines, as well as we can give some kind of food
Yes, sir.
management also required. Anyway, congratulations once again. And as we all know that tomorrow we will have a session from Dr. Manish Singh Asad, and Doctor will be talking about addiction to smartphone, anxiety and sleeplessness, solution with homeopathic and lifestyle changes. That will be the discussion of tomorrow. And now I invite Dr. Karnagar
Sir,
Just
1 minute, sir, 1 minute. Madam,
thank
can you explain lac caninum is a dry up milk and it stimulates the milk secretion. How we can differentiate the action of lac caninum? It's a dry up the milk or it is stimulating the milk secretion, ma'am?
Okay, sir, can you please repeat the question?
Ma'am, lac caninum is a dual action. It dry up the milk and at the same
Yes.
time it stimulates the milk secretion. How we can
It will
understood?
Hmm. Mhm.
How we can understood the action of lac caninum in a positive action or negative action?
Is it's just like it's like
Lac
that
caninum is a negative action and lac dephrutum is a positive action. Lac dephrutum is a very good milk secretion and lac caninum and dry the milk.
it's a double-edged sword, just like a double-edged sword. It's working in both ways. That's the reason why I asked for such question and just before. Anyway,
Lac camelinum is a very good therapeutic for treatment of diabetes.
okay, sir.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Dr. Pavitra, once again, and thank you all participants for participating in this session. And once again, I'm inviting all of you to join the celebration of 5th anniversary of IFPH on September 28th at Cochin, Taj Vivenda, from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. We have a lot of discussions, a lot of presentations, a lot of presentation, particularly on agro-homeopathy, dental homeopathy, as well as veterinary homeopathy. And there will be some cultural presentation at the end also. So hope all of you will join us, and please register before 31st of August, rupees
Ah,
3,000 per person. Thank you all. Good
Thank
night.
you, sir.
Tony.
It's over to Dr. P. Shaila to moderate the Malayalam session.